Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about connecting to empowered people. This can be people, but it also can be energies of God-formed spirits, angels, etc. Now, you can connect to these energies. You can actually be instantaneously empower yourself with natural abilities that other people have. Now, this is an overlooked area of the manifesting occult sciences. Now, we've been doing this for years with great success, and it's kind of been overlooked in the terms of the products that we offer. But we have connection amulets. Now, these amulets, which are very powerful, connect you to any types of energy, and this means powerful people. Now, what do we mean by energies? Well, I want financial success in the stock market. Well, there are people that are super traders who've made billions of dollars from it. Why not connect to their energies? Why not use their natural and taught abilities to empower yourself in whatever you're doing? So if you want to become a super psychic, well, connect to a super psychic. Now, super psychics and people of great power, one of the reasons why they are so successful is the fact that they connect themselves naturally, or somehow have done it, who knows if spirits have helped them or other things, to a stream. And we call them streams because it's like a river, let's say, and this river flows up to a cosmic energy source for that. So someone who's very successful is connected to that stream of empowerment. So if they're a great stock trader, they're connected to that stream of empowerment up there. And this may be difficult for you to connect to and attach yourself to and draw energy from by yourself. So how do you do that? And of course, we do have general stream connectors, money, health, and that's why it's so important to use amulets. If you don't have amulets to connect you to these streams, you doing it yourself is near impossible. I mean, you try and do it by using radionic machines, candle magic, etc. And what you're doing there is connecting to this power source and drawing it to you. And generally, it's specific. That's what alchemical oils do, formulas. When you're burning a candle with oil on it, you're using the fire energy to draw the energy that you have applied to the candle through an oil. You're drawing that energy to you. So the oil generates the connection to the stream, and the candle kind of draws it to you, and that's why it can be very powerful. But these have to be done, consistently. Candle magic is something you do almost daily, or at least 3-4 times a week. It's very simple if you're set up correctly. So once we do that, we get into the fact that there are people that we know. So how do you get it? What is that stream of empowerment? And they're slightly different. These are the natural ability streams. Now, there's the bigger stream. Let's say there's the psychic empowerment stream. But how come Yuri Gellar is so powerful? And this has been proven, regardless of what everybody thinks, because of dumb bunker idiot skeptics have lied to you. He's been proven to be powerful. Now, whatever games he plays, and now that he wants to chum around with magicians, because that's where the money is kind of insulting. But the bottom line is that he's been filmed and tested thoroughly by numerous scientists to verify his amazing abilities. So, but this can be anybody, and there are numerous psychics out there, and we are putting together multi-connection streams so that people can connect to them, and we're coming out with different items as well. This is a shortcut. We don't know ultimately if there are God forms. These are cosmic energy streams, whatever that God form may be, whether it's, Odin or Yahweh or Jesus or anything. Well, these things are, or Buddha, whatever it may be. These are energy thought forms that are out there. And more people that believe in something create this thought form. So what you do if you want to access that kind of power, depending if it's for something in particular, is you then connect to that on a inner magical being, higher self way. You connect to that energy and draw it to you. Now, we don't know how strong these things are not. They tend to be empowered because people believe in them. I do believe in spirit energies. I don't believe necessarily in what are considered traditional religious understandings. There's some man in the sky who controls things. There are energies in the sky that you can connect to, which is part of the whole universe. But we do know certain people are, quote, geniuses. Yuri Gellar is a psychic genius. He's proven it time and time again. And even the issue of bending stuff, which people tend to, again, it's ridiculed by the ignorant, buffoonish, uneducated deviates who are debunkers. But the point is, he's bent things in people's pockets that are standing there. He never touched it. Oh, wow, an amazing rat. Oh, he stuck his hand up the guy's bottom and went through his clothes, and he came out his mouth, and then he went down into his pocket. The guy never knew what happened. I do it all the time. Oh, this is the kind of nonsense. The bottom line is that this has been done, and there's been, quote, bending parties that have been done for 50 years now, where people are bending objects all the time. And it doesn't matter whether you touch it or not, as long as you're not physically bending it. So the whole idea is that it's important that people understand that. So here's a verified. So why wouldn't you want to connect to the energies? And how do you do that? Well, we're going to be coming up with an entire course of this so people know how to do that. But how do you need to have a physical, energetic connection to them? So that means you have to connect to their energy. Usually you get something from someone that they have used. This is what everybody does. That's why people wear things. I bought Elvis Presley's shoes and I can put them off. I feel him right here with me now. I got his shoes on. People do this all the time. And a lot of people get inspiration from this. Or is it that's a kind of a silly little word. What they really are getting is they're connecting to his stream by using the physical shoes. So if you're a dancer and you put on somebody's famous dancing shoes, I guess you could say Elvis was a great dancer as well, but let's say you put on his shoes and you're a singer. Well, you're connecting to his energies. This happens all the time. And you go, oh, it's all in your mind. It doesn't matter. Everything's in your mind, otherwise known as consciousness. So does it work? Of course it works. You're connecting to that. Elvis was a great singer with great charisma. If you can connect to 10% of what he had as a singer, you are going to be good. And this goes to psychics, gamblers, you name it, doctors, healers, lawyers. If you want to become a great lawyer, find the greatest lawyer and connect to his energies. You want to be a great doctor, find the greatest doctor. And these don't have to be ancient people. I prefer to use modern people. Now, people don't get enough credit out there of how great they really are. And, they're pretty unique, even though there's a lot of people with a lot of talent out there. And unfortunately, they never get the breaks. But there are people who have somehow got through the system and got some sort of fame. Or people that maybe haven't got fame, but you've heard about. A lot of great psychics out there. I try and highlight them on the website. Peter Herkos. Well, why not tackle it? This guy was tested. A lot of bad press on him, and he was a little goofy with cold readings. But he was highly tested by Pusharek. He used to test him, wake him up in the middle of the night, and say, hey, what is this in this envelope? So this guy had no prep whatsoever, and Pusharek was a great researcher who's been criticized. But he did stuff like that, so there was no tricks involved. So here you are working up at 2 o'clock in the morning, say, what's in this envelope? And he got it right every time, Pusharek stated. Andrei Pusharek, the famous researcher and medical MD. Oh, no, he was just some bum on the street, That's what the dumb bunkers say. And they really are dumb, and it's insulting, and people should be insulted. But your parapsychologist, well, I got a piece of paper, so I'm not going to confront anybody. I'm an official boob. So the whole idea is that this is what you have to do. So connecting to streams of power. Everybody's into martial arts now. Amazing how many people are into martial arts. And everybody agrees that Bruce Lee is this greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, he certainly was a master martial artist. And he certainly had great abilities, mastered a lot of things. This certainly is a guy you want to connect to. You want to be a great fighter, or at least a great martial artist? Well, obviously, this guy was very advanced and studied. He was a professional. Certainly, this is a guy you want to connect to. And there's many other martial artists, for that matter. Chuck Norris, otherwise, I mean, all these people are damn good at what they do. And you could connect to each one of them. And you may find that you are able to connect stronger to one individual over another. But what do we know about Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris? They're real. They're alive. We have a history and a recording of what they've done. There's not a question that these people are masters or not. Frankly, we don't know anything. We don't know anybody is real. We don't know if there was a Buddha. Now there's even some question of whether there was a Muhammad, that if he was a real person. So the whole idea is that we don't really know anything. Is any of these people real? And if they are real, is it just all gossip and writing? You know, all of these historical people, what they write down, including Islam, was written down 100 years after the death of the person. So all these books are put together over hundreds of years. Can you imagine writing a book? Let's say we started a book in 1920, which is quite a different reality. I don't know how younger people get it, but your 1920s, think about the cars, the old movies when people had, and then come out to 2020, 100 years later. Well, it's such a radically difference. And then, of course, stuff that was written down in between all these things, then all put together in kind of a soup of reality. So we don't know really with any. We don't know if anybody really existed. I don't believe Buddha existed. Buddha is an archetype. We know that there was no Jesus. In terms of the Jewish gods, well, there's really no Yahweh, other things, which is kind of this pagan old style. So the point is none of this stuff do we know. We go through every single religion and belief and everything else. If it gets ancient, or even gets over 50 years, how many people even know what happened in Vietnam now? So the whole idea is that all this stuff is sketchy at best. And whoever writes about it now probably won't get it. Now most of the Vietnam vets are all dying, so we can't even get first-hand accounts much anymore. So as we get involved in all these things, we need to. But we do know, and we have lots of data, we have their personal writings of Bruce Lee. We have a huge amount of writings from Chuck Norris, not necessarily martial arts, but he's a prolific writer. We've seen his films, we have his history of competitions, and this goes to so many other people. So we know these are masters. And I think all of us, if we're involved in anything, would like to have the skill of Chuck Norris. If you're a martial artist or Bruce Lee or whoever you want, we'd all love to have just even 10 or 20% of their added abilities to what we already know. This could make you a master by piggybacking and connecting to the streams. Now, they have their own personal stream. Now, they're connected to the ultimate stream of martial arts empowerment. But there is a problem with streams, is that there are unlimited, I mean unlimited, which is a word people don't quite understand. There is no counting it. If you count the grains of sand on a beach, they are limited. So, unlimited. So the point is that there is the martial arts stream that he is connected to, but is what also is connected is the Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee stream within that stream. So it's specific because those energies were taken into this particular biological entity who has a particular mental capacity and physical capacity. So this is very interesting. You can piggyback on this. If you do these practices, and well, as I said, have a course that comes out and teaches how to do this in general, but the bottom line is you need to connect with them. And we're going to have lots of different connecting kits. I mean, we had a few of these offered, particularly one of Yuri Gellar, which is quite nice with all his signatures and art drawing. These were personally done by him. So it's not just visualizing him trying to connect. You need something from him. And hopefully an original. Now, these were original. And he signed books, and he's an artist kind of guy. He used to draw pictures for people and everything else. It's kind of cool because it's personal. You sign something, thanks, Bill Smith, Yuri Gellar. Well, if you make a little picture, that's something that potentially has a great value there. Well, it's not potentially, it does. His energy is directly in there personally. So that's very important. So you can get reproductions of these things, and you are getting the energy as well. But you're not getting it to that level. It has to be properly amplified, and we're working on this because it's difficult to get originals, and this can be very expensive. But there are ways, and we have multiple psychics that we have their original signatures there that they wrote in books and other things. So this then connects you to their empowerment. Now, ideally, is then connecting yourself to this energy. So the whole idea is you get these empowered reproductions, and then you actually connect yourself to them in an amulet. Very important. Now, there are other ways to do this. Amulets, of course, are custom made for you, and as such, carry a bit of a price. But you're getting a lifetime tool here. You're getting uniquely connected. If you pick up 1 or 2% of empowerment from a master, if that's an investment, could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. If that's a martial artist and you're competing, well, that could be the difference between you winning a big competition or not, or even saving your life if you're using that. If you're an artist or other things, how much is that boost, which could be huge amounts or even a small amount, into your creativity, could make you a master and have you create masterpieces. So to put a price on this one, people spend $250 on a pair of running shoes and all the other garbage out there, or $8,000 on a designer bag, or all the other things that people waste money on. These are fantastic bargains. They never go bad. You're going to use this for the rest of your life. Basically, you're going to use it every day of your life. Because once an amulet is made to you, you're connected to that energy forever. Even if you're not wearing it or participating with it on a daily basis, which you don't really have to after a while. But we'll go into this in all the courses. But you are connected by the process of the amulet being made for you, and the energies there with your picture on one side, the energy of your connection on the other, creates this bond, this bound energetic field, which now you're connected forever. There's also things like scalar energy discs, which have people on it, which are not made for you custom, but will project their energy in your environment, and you lay photos on these machines, etc. These special scalar energy CD-like discs are very powerful, and they tend to be much less expensive, but they are not custom. So there are many ways of doing this. And of course, you'll have our custom connection kits, which are the actual signatures or the actual connection to this person, whatever it may be. Maybe it's something they owned, but signatures are the best as long as they're real signatures, obviously, and original. But we're going to have, as I said, these reproductions as well, and we do know how to bring these up, but there's nothing like getting the original. So that, of course, gives you. So this is a way to instantly empower yourself by connecting to masters. So these are all masters, and these masters become masters because they connect to this particular stream. How do they do it? Well, as I've talked about in my other lectures, the bottom line is you're nothing but a channel for everything. This has been more and more proved. It's not about thinking yourself, I'm going to concentrate to become a master. Well, it's not like that. Things just enter you. It's really weird. And this is not something that, this is something that's come to proof now that this is how things work. So it's not about concentrating yourself to something. You have to let the energy, by connecting to the stream, open yourself up. Now, a lot of people are afraid of this, and then, of course, the paranoids think that you're letting negative spirits in, but that's not the case at all. This is not a mental process. Your brain is basically just a meat puppet. And as simple as that, your mind, your brain, you're a meat puppet. Your consciousness controls everything. Your consciousness creates your brain. So the point is that this is all part of the process. And what the consciousness is an instantaneous transfer of information from an empowerment stream, otherwise known as an informational energetic field. So the informational energetic field that creates a martial arts master is what you need to connect to. Now that's the general stream, and that will improve you dramatically. But there are masters, and they're masters for many different diverse reasons. Maybe just because of the time. I mean, Bruce Lee basically was able to spend his entire life becoming this master and spent every moment of his life doing it, apparently, when he wasn't cha-chaing. But the point is that, and watching soap operas. But the point is that he spent most of his life doing that. So, you probably can't. Well, why should you work as hard as he works when all that energy is sitting there? Connect to all that work, all that mastership by using these procedures to do that. And as I said, we're going to come out with an entire course on this on CD, which will give you empowerment sigils as well using the typical fantastic IGOS system, which has been proven to work very well for people. You will be connected to this, and there are other tools that you can do as well. As I said, nothing beats having an amulet, and of course, having a physical connection to that person. And these are not, they're getting rarer and rarer. Yuri Gellar is now in his 70s. If you want to connect to a lot of these people, well, and the prices of these things. I've seen Yuri Gellar's signature that you can buy in different places sell for a few $100s, and that's just the retail cost of it. And this is not going to go lower. It's going to go up and up. But we have collected some of these. We know how to get certain things inexpensively to a degree, so we can offer people things at reasonable prices. But these are one of a kind as well. There's only one Yuri Gellar, and the point is less and less of his signatures are available. So you're talking about a little gem here. And again, how do you put value on this? So these are treasures, and treasures you don't get from anybody else but IGOS. Another treasure in this world. So, and these need to be valued and worked with. So here are the secrets, and people are still looking for a tap on the head or a magical sword or all the things that really don't exist. Here you are given empowerments, and they are as close to a miracle and close to movie land tech than you will ever get. And these are exciting. Now, we've done this for a long time with these connection amulets, and I don't think people quite get it. So whatever it is that you want to be connected to, you get an amulet of that. And you are then, the energy is all there using our special secret process of how we make our amulets. And it's a complicated process which is only known to IGOS. And only myself knows really how to make the ultimate. Even though there are some certain foundations to making amulets, there are critical aspects that only I know how to do. But the point is you can be connected to anything. What do you want to be connected to? You want to become a great scientist? Well, who do you consider a great scientist? I mean, it could even be a living person. So, who's the greatest golfer? Tiger Woods? I don't know. Am I outdating myself there? Who's better now? Certainly he's a master. This guy at his prime, before he got arrogant and goofy, was almost unbeatable. Well, he's still alive today. That is better because he's still performing, and you're able to connect with him at a stronger, more potent level. So, very, very important to understand that. So, living people can be very good. If there's a master stockbroker right now, Warren Buffett obviously is still doing well, but there's lots of traders and everything else out there who have made a fortune. Connect to them. Yes, read their books. That's how you get better connections. Become one with them. We will give you the training for this in our course. But the point is, these people are alive and well now. I don't think connecting, even if you connected to some god form like Buddha or something else, as far as I understand, he wasn't a big stock market trader, and I don't think he could kick ass too well either. So I wouldn't necessarily connect to Buddha for martial arts or other things. So here are masters of today. Here are masters we know are masters and who have actually performed it. So there's not a question here if they're masters or not. The energy is there. Why were they masters? Well, first and foremost, they were masters because of the fact that they connected to this stream to empower them. They brought that energy into them, and they made themselves masters by combining that, or the synergistic combination of everything, meaning taking lots of diverse parts, putting it together into one part to create a greater part. That's what synergy is. And it's a very important concept, and I don't hear too many people talk about that, but that's what life is all about. You have to be synergistic in nature. And you get all the pieces together of the pie, you put it into a pie, and now you have a pie instead of having a bunch of pieces, which generally tend not to be as good as the whole. So the whole is greater than the individual pieces. So that's very important to understand, and that's the same concept that works here. So by using these connections to whatever you want to master in life, you think Bill Gates is the greatest businessman, you think Steve Jobs was a genius, and again, this is your personal, because you have to buy into their realities. Now, my opinion of these people is not important. They obviously were great achievers in materialistic society. So the point is that you then connect to them. So whatever it is, whether it's a sports person, you want to excel at sports, whether in any other area you can think of, go and get their information. Connect to what they connect to, and you're instantaneously, and this will evolve through whatever you do, you got to do practices. So you're not going to just go, I connect to Bruce Lee, I'm a master, I'm going to go kick ass. It doesn't work like that. You're adding it into basic knowledge already. So the whole idea is you still have to practice martial arts, but you're going to have ideas that pop into your head. You're going to start physically performing better, which you didn't before. And it doesn't matter how much training you do, you don't have the important, you could call this gnosis. You don't have the gnosis informational energetic field for martial arts at a strong level. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're only going to reach a certain level. Masters are able to go to that higher level because they are connected. Well, why go to the source and just connect to the masters of martial arts stream instead of why not connect to a known master? We know he's real. He's not a fantasy. This person was a master. So you do that. And you do that with anything. So no matter what it is, you want to learn the secrets of whatever religion, you want to connect to something. Well, people do this all the time. That's why they wear crosses and other religious things. Well, what you're telling yourself all the time is the fact that you're connecting that. So if you wear a cross, you're saying to yourself, I'm a Christian, I look at it all the time, I see it on myself. You're constantly sending information into your inner magical being to connect to that energy. But they're also connecting to that stream of energy that's out there. Now, if you want to connect to Christianity other than the symbol of the cross, well, then you would pick the person at the highest level. That would be Jesus. So you would have a connection to Jesus. Maybe there's a particular saint whose abilities you like. Cupertino, he used to fly, just lift off the ground. And it seems to be well documented. Well, if you tap into his energy, you're certainly, I don't know if you're going to fly, that seems to be extreme, but you're going to be able to work within that realm. Well, what energies did he have? Is it possible? Well, he was tapping into something. Now, the point is you can't tap into 100% of what they tapped into. And it gets down to the percentage, and we're not really sure why this is, but it's a difficult process to bring other people's energies and connect to streams in general. It's not like plugging into your house, get a toaster and plug it in. Well, there's the source, I plug it in, it works. Doesn't matter how many times. Well, it would be nice if it worked like that, but we're talking about things that are quite beyond primitive materialistic physics. We're talking about things that go into very high physics. So we're talking about next level energetic physics. We're talking about subtle informational energy fields. So the holidays, it's not easy to bring that into you because you're a lump of poo. We all are. We're living in an urban legend, so we can't connect because we're blocking all the time. But we don't block 100%. So the question is how much of that blockage can you bring down? We'll see. But you may come into. So if you connect to a person who is apparently easily able to fly or float or levitate, well, you're going to get those energies, and you may able to figure out how to do it, or you may just get a certain spiritual empowerment from that you use in another area of your life. So these are the type of things, and it's very, very overlooked, and it's very practical. You can do this. People have done this already that we've made amulets for, stock market people who have made quite a bit of money. We've had people connect to empowered people of different reality, and they've all went to higher levels. They've gotten a lot of information. They've grown in power. People have connected to magicians of the past, have drawn in information, are able to do healings at a higher level. They have increased their actual divination abilities dramatically. So you're a basic healer, a basic doing, well, you connect to a healer of either this time or even of the recent past, and their healing abilities skyrocket. Their divination abilities skyrocket. You have to connect to these energies. Everything else, to a degree, is kind of fanciful. It's kind of a fantasy. We don't know any of these people exist. And the point is, anytime you go back in ancient history, it's all a contrived mess. It's pieced together garbage. And this means all the books written about things. Well, this is a book about Babylonian religions. Well, you're taking common knowledge of that time and then putting your own spin on it. We don't know if the books of that time were any value or not. And what was really what we do know is every time we do serious research or anthropologists dig more stuff up, we come up with completely different conclusions of things. They've recently found a manuscript in Egypt where they had the whole Christian cult was practicing human sacrifice. Whoa. Was that common? Is this just a deviant cult? Well, we don't know, but people went in and sanitized it and made this new religion based on something that nothing we have from 2,000 years ago, really. And what we do have is bits and pieces that are stick together and construed in a modern fashion. We really have no idea what anything means. So that's why you want to go to the source. When you're talking about energy and empowerment, go directly to the source. And also, let's get people we know. We're not picking up. We don't care what we're tapping into abilities. So whatever someone's strengths or weaknesses were in their tradition, such as Bruce Lee, that's not what you're overly concerned with. You center on the fact of drawing in things that are based his ability. Now, there is a problem that if you connect to a person who, let's say, was a drug addict on a strong level, that you're going to then draw those energies to you. But in our instructions, we tell people how to safely do this. But technically, if you combined with the energy of a person, you would be picking up every part of their personality as well. But we make sure that we can find with our special instructions, and have tested these over the years, that we're focusing on that person's abilities, not the fact that they may be a drug addict, may be kind of goofy, and all the things there. You certainly don't want to think like Chuck Norris does. But you want his abilities. So this is what we tap into. And there's a lot of goofy people out there in history and even recently that have all sorts of problems. Drug problems, mental problems, sexual problems. So you don't want to draw those into you, and you have to filter them out, because when you connect to their energy bodies, you're going to be connecting to their whole being. And this is a concern. You got to do it right. And of course, you have to know what you're doing, you have to follow instructions, and you have to get items from credible organizations who have done things. People buy things off the net from nobodies who have not been around. IGOS has been around since 1980. I've been involved in research, and I'm going to put up my qualifications here in another audio, which people should know whom and my background. And I've talked about this to a certain degree, but I'm a very noted authority. I've been in this field for over 50 years now. And have been doing this research from an eclectic viewpoint, meaning I didn't learn from a Christian, Jewish, or whatever background. I've learned this from an eclectic background. I've seek truth, not dogma. So if you get something from somebody, you're buying products from that person and their screwed upness. And this is a real serious problem. There's a lot of frauds and con artists out there. There's a lot of very evil, dark people who are sending you products which are infected with their energies. So this is a real problem, and getting things from a credible organization that know what they are. So people always want to take side steps. They want to save a few bucks in some areas. Well, this is poor on all sorts of levels, because generally cheap stuff don't work. Buying stuff from imbeciles who promise you the sky and produce nothing is just a waste of money, regardless of whether it's cheaper or even more expensive. So you have to, when you're dealing with things in this area, you wouldn't go to a plumber and ask his medical advice. Well, I've got this rash here, Bert. After you finish with the toilet, can you look at this? Well, isn't that insane? I also wouldn't go to my doctor and say I'm having trouble with my toilet flushing. It's stupid. The other thing is that does anybody have any credibility in these areas? And they don't. It doesn't matter if they're successful. It doesn't matter if they've made a lot of money. Do their products work? It just means they're good marketers. So it's a complicated weave of deception and lies out there, which is just part of this reality. But buying something from a skilled, credible person who most likely has been in the industry for years is important. What have they done? And there are people out there who've been around for a long time and seem to have credible items. Who knows what works and what doesn't work, and ultimately what works for you. Maybe Bruce Lee will hate you, and he won't give you some of his energy, and these conflicts go on. So you're doing a certain connection process, but there are many levels of this. But everyone has benefited from these. Everybody wants Hollywood results, and we always strive to do that, and some people get that. But in general, you have to look at the improvement in your life and the improvement in whatever you're doing. The point is, if you're a martial artist and get connected to the stream of Bruce Lee, you're going to start seeing everything in your martial arts improve. Now, can you jump off of buildings? Can you cluck like a chicken? Well, I don't know if that'll work for you in those areas. The point is that you will see major improvements in what you're doing. That's just part of the process. The point is you can't expect that you just become Bruce Lee. And I don't know how that would be tested or not, but you're going to see all your skills in. You have to, are you faster now? Are you thinking different? You're going to think a lot different. That thinking will then change into skills that then materialize on the physical plane. That's how it all works with everything. Things will come to you that you would never, ever think of before. You have a very limited, controlled reality. You live in an urban myth. The way you break this is everybody has broken the urban myth who are masters to a degree. So you can be great at something and still be controlled by society. You can see that with Chuck Norris, who kind of has infantile right-wing conservative Christian viewpoints. Here's a guy who's learned all this stuff, had some degree of Asian contact, but you got to remember he's in the U.S. military in Korea, not exactly living in an ashram or a temple. So the whole idea is that you can be a master at that, and of course that's not what you're going to tune into if you want to connect to Chuck Norris. You're going to connect to his martial arts skills, which are irrefutably at a high level. This is a 5-time karate champion, world champion. So this is not disputable. So the whole idea is that this is how this is. Connecting to people's empowerments, connecting to them is the simple and easy way to instantly empower yourself. So these amulets are ready right now. Our course will be coming out within a few months, and we will have other items. So it's always good, of course, to watch our website because we do list these here. We have connections to secret societies and all the other things that happen. All these things draw you to, and it's a special way. This is the highest level of empowerment that there is. It's not concentrating. It's not working hard. Of course, these are all the things that we think make it. Because you think, if you study longer and work harder, you're going to get better grades. And, that is true to a degree. But the people who do really good don't study that hard. And don't do that. That's the other illusion. You're making up for your lack of connections to the higher levels of empowerment. People that understand higher math understand it. They didn't make themselves understand it. They just understood it. And maybe the percentage of work that they went into generally is minimal compared to someone fighting to understand it. You're fighting to understand it because you're not connected. So if you're fighting to get to a higher level of martial arts, you then have to make sure that you find that connection. You can practice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and even practice with the greatest masters, but you will not reach their levels because you are not connected to those information energetic fields. Hopefully, everybody gets that. That's the secret, that everybody's looking for secrets. Well, we've given everybody the secrets out there. I'm afraid it's not a switch on your belt. It's not a little device that you put your photo in and click that makes you into this Hollywood empowered person. The secrets are all there. Here's a master secret. This has been done in ancient mystery schools for thousands of years in one form or another. We've perfected it here in this reality, and only IGOS has perfected it. As with everything else, the keys are there. Are you centered? Are you doing a cult gym practices? If you're not, you ain't getting nowhere. You're going to read a book? Well, our books are not books. They're empowerment tools, and everybody that gets our books jumps up in empowerment. Never has failed. Simply by owning the book and putting their picture in it. But that's only step one. You want Hollywood empowerment, you've got to follow the systems. If you are not using occult gym tools, which very few people do, you are not going to make it. And there are many simple and more complicated tools that you can get at different prices. We have a great little kit, but people aren't doing it. Our occult gym book shows you how to buy inexpensive items that you can find almost anywhere in the world and use them as training tools. You don't train the mind, you don't pump psychic muscle, consciousness muscle, you ain't going to get there. Are you centered? Are you doing some simple basic practices so your mind isn't running in 50 directions? Well, you're not going to get there. Those are the secrets. Those are the things that have been taught in every single empowerment school forever, and nobody's doing it. And the other thing is the connecting to empowerment streams. That's why people pray all the time. I want to be Christ-like. Well, you're trying to connect to that energy field. I want to reach the Buddha head. Well, you're not connecting through your inner consciousness alone. Your consciousness is connected because your mind and your whole basic system is empty. You're filling it up and connecting to this. You are nothing more than a channel. And if you don't channel and connect, you get nowhere. So that's the secrets, everybody. It's been there for years, and that's what you have to do. I think it takes very little work compared to what most people do and everything else. I mean, we spend huge amounts of our time wasted doing all sorts of silly practices. It used to be, I don't know, I guess people are still doing it. I mean, Sunday, people spend 6 hours on Sunday watching football games or other sporting events. And some people do this every day of the week. Huge amounts of wasted time. Now, certainly there's nothing wrong with watching games, but not if you're only doing that. So all of these things have to be fully understood in the bigger concept. So these aren't hidden secrets kept in initiation schools. So if you think there's instant empowerment to the point that you control the world and everything goes perfect for you, well, Yuri Gellar has lost numerous lawsuits. So the whole idea is that, are they able to make things happen? He wanted to keep the Brits in the EU and concentrated on this. He failed. So everything is not this comic book world of empowerment. If you are able to control everything in this world to your personal outcome, there's no reason to be here anymore. Plain and simple. You can't master an entire plane completely. This makes you a god. The whole idea, and gods don't stay in physical form here. The whole idea is to master your environment as much as you can. Make sure that the majority of everything goes in your way and that you grow as an individual. But you have billions of people against you, and you have lots of negative energy as well. Society wants to kill you. You have people are not working with you. Most likely your family isn't working with you. Excuse me. And nobody else is. And you're lived in a very corrupt, evil world. So it's not that simple. If you think it's simple, if you think it's comic book, if you think it's moving land TV, it isn't. And nobody's been able to do that no matter whom they are. But It is not a secret. You apply these principles, you get these tools, and you have to work with them. You just don't have an amulet and it automatically empowers you. Yes, there's a percentage of that going on, because who wants to work all the time? And it's not about working all the time. The key to IGOS systems is do things at high intensities for very short periods of time often. That's the reality we're in. Not meditating and taking 2 hours to practice here or there. You don't need any of that. You're basically causing conflict energies instead of empowerment energies. So by doing all this, you are able to bring yourself up. And if you use these tools, well, I've never known anybody who has failed using IGOS products seriously. Of course, there's always a percentage of people who are blockheads, I call them the rockheads, that never get results from anything. But this is pretty small. And secondly, they are, these people, nothing works for them. The bottom line is that when it really comes down to anybody who's seriously used any of our products, they get results, plain and simple. Are they made into super gods? Well, that's not reality. So people that promise you the sky, people that promise you all this nonsense are lying to you. And if you look at their lives, they're nothing more than hucksters selling you a product. Because if you have products that make people into gods, why would you sell it? Why just make yourself into a god? You're selling it to make money, so it means just in the fact of doing that shows that you are not all powerful. Plain and simple, and that goes for everybody. That's the way it is. So this kind of reality has to be understood. But that's the secret of secrets. If you want to call it a secret of secrets, that's what it's all about. Because that's what every higher training systems ultimately do for you. Hopefully that's clear. Until next time.